welcome back to Choice Bits of Bliss. My name is Cilla. In today's video, it's time for Themes on the 13th. And this month, my theme is female. So I had laid this stuff out the last time I was up in my room and had prepped. I've completely lost the script. I don't know what I was thinking or what my goal was. I have no clue. So whatever I do today, I'm winging it because I don't know what I had planned. And, well, let's just go. I have these two photos of my great niece. And as you can see, she is not in the mood. But my niece and her husband had come over to the house, and I had gone to the antique store earlier that day and had bought this antique pram. And when she came up, I was like, oh, let's go in the backyard and let's try some photos of the baby in the pram. Well, my sweet little girl, she just was not in the mood for all of that at all, but we did get some good photos. And since we're talking about photos, and excuse me, I think most people know by now, for over a decade, let's see, I started in 2006. So it's been a while. My side hustle has been photography. So I've taken classes, and I also joined an online forum that was very, very strong in developing photographers. So when I started, it was not with digital cameras, and you had to learn the very basics of a good photo to be able to know how to use your dials and a light meter, all of these things to get a good photo. And one of the things we learned in photography was to learn all the rules and then learn how to break them creatively. And sometimes I use that same concept when I'm scrapbooking, because rules help you have a guide to show you what looks pleasing, but there are so many other ways to create and to compose that looks pleasing, that's not bound by the structure of those rules. So today I'm going to talk to you about the very, very basics of taking a good photo. And the first thing is focus. So anytime you're taking pictures of a human being, you want to focus on their eyes, because if their eyes are in focus, then the rest of the photo becomes much more pleasing. You can focus on their smile. You can get very, very creative with it. Like if you're taking an engagement photo, and you've seen this 1,000 times, I'm sure, you know, the focus is on the engagement ring. So the focus is on the hands holding, and then blurred in the background, you see the couple. So that's a different way to play with that focus. But if you're taking a portrait, you want the focus to be on the eyes. That makes that person look beautiful. And then you want to think about your lighting. And if you have it lit well, then everything looks pleasing because you can see it. It's not overexposed and it's not underexposed. So you want to have, this is called part of the exposure triangle. You have your focus and then you have your exposure. You want it to be lit well so that you can see the subjects in your photo. And then lastly, you want to think about your composition. You want to think about where your subjects are in the photo. So one of the things that they talk a lot about is not having the subject dead center. So if I had her little face dead center, that wouldn't be as pleasing as seeing the top, you know, her torso up. And in this one, I have her over to the left so that you can see more of her body, and it just makes a more pleasing. I keep using that word, but we're looking at making photos that you can use as portraits. So that's all I'm going to go in today. In photography, I have intentions to drop little nuggets here and there because this is my strong suit. Photography is where my strengths lie, and I want to be able to share that with you so that even with a phone, you're able to take great photos. I want you to be super happy with the photos that you take every single time you take photos. And the fact that we have everything digital nowadays makes it so much easier because you can immediately see if you like it, delete it if you don't. That alleviates so much stress around photography. And with your phone, and I'm going to use mine as an example. So I have my phone here. If you just tap on the part that you want in focus, it immediately gives you that box so that you know what's in focus. So we're going to turn that off. Just a small little lesson to help create better photos. Excuse me, I've got a little bit of a frog this morning. Okay, so these are the photos that I'm going to be using. And I have this collection from Authentique. It's called Dreamy, and I had it in my female category because it just reminds me of, it's very much little girl kind of vibe to it. Look, it's from 2019, and we'll look through it real quickly. Oh my gosh. Just forgive me. The words. We'll look through it quickly. So I love these butterflies and these little splotches of watercolor in the background. And then we have this diagonal grid with butterflies in the center. We have this floral piece. And we have feathers on a pink background with polka dots. We have these large colorful dots that have a kind of a grungy border around the edges of it. And then on the back we have this tile looking print. We have these diagonal stripes, and we have this, I'm not sure what this design is. It's almost got a Baroque feel to it. We have a plaid, and this looks like a quatrefoil and another design in there. We have cut aparts, and then we're going to start repeating, and this is another feather look, kind of in a almost like rivulets coming down. So okay, that's the paper that I have, and we're going to play with this paper. I'm wanting to do I can't remember if I'm going off of a sketch or not. Oh, I remembered what I'm doing. I remembered. I had seen this on the Scrap Fest website, this design, and it's got a circular element. I'm only going to use half of it because it was a 2-page spread. So it has a half a circle, and then it has these torn bands that come out from the circle. And I'm going to start with that. I'm going to pull that together, and I'll be right back. I decided I wanted to use this wood grain from Webster Pages as my base. So I think, yes, that's going to be my base. And then I'm going to start doing my design on top of that. So this is the rough look of what this is going to be about, and I'm going to start auditioning these papers. So I really was thinking I wanted, you know, kind of a solid color between my multicolor, and then another solid or tone on tone. But I started looking at it, and I think, so this feather pattern is on the B side of this. this feather pattern. And I think I want that. It's just softer than this orange. And I think I'm going to replace that. So these need to be roughed up around the edges and trimmed. And then I'll be right back. I've decided to ink the edges of my torn strips that have been tattered and distressed, because, and the ink color I have chosen is close to my heart pewter, because the edging of these flowers are in a really light gray. So that's the color I chose to use. And I think it just kind of lifts it off the background just a little bit. So I'm listening in the moments that I'm working off camera. I'm listening to the Letitia Stout case. I'm just completely baffled by that one. And that's frequently what I do when I'm working off camera, is I'm listening to something true crime, or occasionally I'm listening to other scrapbookers. Okay, so this is where we are as a rough layout. I'm going to adhere everything down so that I can complete it, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I finished the layout. Y'all know I do this. So I just picked from my little container these leaves and the labels and this and this. And from this little container came my butterflies and my little flowers. Oh, and my enamel dots. So, I'm very pleased with how this has turned out. I will do my journaling after I get finished with the video because of personal information. And that brings us to the end of May's Themes on the 13th. Anyone can play with this. Anyone. Contact me if you want the intro, or if you want the thumbnail. I don't care. My goal is always to inspire us to use our supplies. That's always my goal. And if there's anything that I'm doing that inspires you and helps you to dig into your supplies and makes you want to play, good golly, I want to hear about it. I love stuff like that. So comment down below if you're inspired and you want, or if you want to play along. I will welcome you with arms wide open. Thank you so much for joining me, and we will chat again soon. Bye-bye.